We've seen so many large electric vehicles, now it's time for a small one with the all-new Volvo EX30. Here with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with all the details. Thor's hammer, LED signature, now in this segmented way. The main headlamp unit above it and below it. Cloud blue is this very light blue color. Very interesting indeed. I think the Volvo logo kind of has a retro styling now. And all the way closed front because you do not need the cooling here for the electric vehicle. The market for the small EVs is not that large yet. So they make a smaller one than the C40 or the XC40. This one here at 4 meters 23 or 167 inches. Wheels from 18 to 20 inch. These are the biggest ones. Yeah, the Volvo lettering is here, but I think still a classic Volvo logo in the middle part is missing. And this is also a Volvo of hyperlatives or superlatives because it is the smallest Volvo SUV so far. It is the quickest Volvo SUV ever. And it is also the most sustainable one from new production, using 25% less CO2 and also raw materials and so on if you compare it to a C40 or XC40. Make no mistake, a used vehicle is always the most sustainable one because it's already built. But when you build new cars, it's of course very important also to bring down the use of resources and so on. Here the design, contrasting black roof and a very strong C-pillar. Overall, some angular design we see. Rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, then with one electric motor at the axle each. And the all-wheel drive version then at 3.6 seconds in the acceleration figure to 1 kilometers an hour, 62 miles an hour. The top speed is 180 kilometers an hour or 112 miles per hour. Overall, kind of boxy design also in the rear. I like that angular styling. What about you? Tell me in the comments. Also here with the signature of the rear lights. However, the CD value is not the best one, 0.28. And that means it's rather a city SUV. On high speeds on the motorway, it will consume a little bit more, of course. Well, then you get two different battery sizes, either 49 kilowatt hours net or 64 kilowatt hours net. Then in the bigger one, I would also recommend to have just a little bit more range buffer. Realistic figure for the bigger one, probably like some 400 kilometers or 250 miles. However, recharging is pretty cool. AC charge 11 or even 22 kilowatt and the DC charging 155 kilowatt. That means 10 to 80% state of charge in 26 minutes. Zzz. Ahsoka has the white lightsaber, right? That's why I'm taking this one today. I'll soon show you why. So let's take a look at the possible frunk. Yes, there is one, a small one, and when you fold it up, you have space for a charging cable, and underneath, that's why the light or the lightsaber of Ahsoka, here there's a nice moose pictogram. Not sure if you noticed, but there's one design detail here. If you look from a little distance, it seems that the hood would be like standing out here or is overlapping. But if you come closer, you can see it is actually quite close to the chassis, so that's rather an illusion. And turning indicators here in the front, they replace the daytime running light. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it? And in the rear here, the indicators are pretty small, but still visible enough, I would say. This will be your new Volvo membership card. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This will be the car key, like we know from Tesla, for example, or use your smartphone here with the NFC connection, holding it right there. Then door closing sound. Nice, that's really solid. Inside of the doors, you can see a very minimalistic design here also with the door handle from the inside. That looks quite cool. And you get different decor elements. This is also made from recycling material. Soft touch at the top part and here also for your elbow. And what I like is here that you got the hard plastic, but then you have a structure here so it looks a little bit more premium. And the inside of the door can fit a lot of things, and you see there is no button lever whatsoever, also to reduce the complexity. And if that is too much for the decor for you, there are different decor stylings available. For example, also a recycled denim decor element. Same also in the accounts here for the dashboard, and the air vents are already here at the side. It's also a very interesting design. Oh, and I like this EX30 badge right there on the inside. Seats also sustainable. For example, these the Nordico seats. It's a high-grade leather red with a mix of fabric. And once again here also recycling and also using plant-based oils. So that's the way to go. Same also counts for the steering wheel. Let's get inside. It's a small SUV. You can adjust it then here in the lower part. So just one button basically here for back and forth of the back part, going back and forth with the lower part. It's actually a very easy and intuitive control. And well, it is small from the outside, but I have quite good comfort here as a tall person with 189 or 602. When I go here to the side, still leaves some headroom, and even more than to this fixed panoramic roof. So you can go for this one or for a completely closed fixed one. And the steering wheel has a manual adjustment right here, up, down, in and out. Well, this is a prototype vehicle, but however, you can see these are not the instruments, and you can have like a camera sensor in there, and that it watches you basically, that you get, fatigue or something, and it warns you. But you can see when you adjust the steering wheel, it basically lifts up and down a little bit. Yeah, that's maybe the one weird thing I discovered here. Interior cockpit overview. Once again, very clean here. 12.3-inch screen, vertical styling, then a very present decor element styling, and you can pick different stylings, as I said. Here, somewhat soft touch dashboard, and also very unique first ever soundbar in a vehicle. Different speakers inside this one soundbar, but why are they doing that? First of all, either a bass one or this one, the Harman Kardon, optionally, and then you just have it at this very place. And there's no speaker at the inside of the doors, no wires, no cables. Also better sustainability because less material is being used. Very interesting, isn't it? On the steering wheel, you have one button per side, but with different functions. I like to have separate buttons to push. Yeah, that's what I said. But at least you have some haptic feedback here. And for putting in the gears, it's behind the steering wheel here. You just put it up and down for drive and reverse and so on. Infotainment system is Android Automotive based, means a native support of Google Maps. Also, when you put in a destination, it calculates the charging stops and so on. No digital instruments means that here the speed will be displayed in the top part. Yeah, I haven't liked that with the Model Y or Model 3 by Tesla either. Temperature unit is right here. Relatively easy to see everything, but of course everything into that screen. And this will then be the app overview. You will also be able to use Apple CarPlay wireless. When I make it a little bit darker here, join the dark side, then you can better see the small ambient lighting here on the right side. The glove box is actually here, and you open it in the infotainment system. There we go, with a lot of space inside actually. Let's close it. In the lower part, an inductive charging pad. Very lower part, you have it either like this, or you can open it for more space, and then you also have two USB-C chargers. Here, the window levers on the inside, and when you press this one, you can also control the rear window levers. And this is also funny, here the middle console slides open, and you have two cup holders, or one cup holder, or 0 cup holders. And then once again, you have a little bit more open space, or slide it back like this, half, or all the way. Panoramic roof perspective from the rear. Of course, the rear passengers can even better see that. And talking about the rear passengers, you have to remember it's a small SUV, but let's try it out nevertheless. And you can see when the seat is set to my driving position, I cannot fit behind it that well. So for tall adults is critical. You have the same design at the inside of the door, and these very cool door handles. I really like them indeed. And I can slide through because there's no middle tunnel using the EV platform. And when I'm, for example, here behind the co-driver seat or passenger seat, then of course you can adjust it a little bit better. The bench is also quite low. You can see here the angle of my knees. So it's not meant for tall adults on a long journey or so in the rear. Yeah, I think considering the length is actually okay. Nice the fabric use here as well with the Nordico material. Nordico again is this high-grade leatherette. And you also have separate rear window levers, but they are also in the middle console. This lower part here, the storage here, you can also take out from here. For example, use it as a trash, or that you can easily empty it. And once again, we have these pictograms of the moose. That the kids also have some fun with it. So now, not only holding the white lightsaber, but also the dark saber, because it's time to measure the trunk. Here, there's the button to open it, electric hatch, and we can first take own measurements. Here, the length here, is about 72 centimeters to this notch. It's about 28 inches. You can see it's of course not the biggest one, but it's a city SUV. It's supposed to be small, and underneath you have even more space. For example, you could also fit a charging cable here. If you want to know all measurements, you can also just look here above. Will it fit? And then you can see the full length here as well in 4K. So this is a good idea when you want to go shopping. And I think this is proudly sponsored by IKEA, isn't it? And here, the seat's all the way folded flat. You have to do that from the second row. However, that's also standard for this segment that you can't unleash it from the trunk. It will start below 40,000 euros in the easiest trim and also with a small battery. And then when you go for high trim and all-wheel drive, then you end up about like 55,000 euros. And that's quite reasonably priced in the premium segment. Yes, of course, it's a small SUV, but if you compare the non-premium competition, there's not too much price difference. So I think a very interesting proposal. Looks pretty cool, also here when you hold the light against the vehicle, right? And on the interior, this reduction of complexity, yes, we know it already from Tesla, and it looks very clean, and some new approaches are actually quite promising. The question is, will it also deliver in performance? For example, you put the soundbar, it looks quite clean and also less cables, speakers and so on. But it will also sound good. We'll test it later in the driving part where we can tell you more about the driving behavior and also the real world concise range. If you subscribe, you won't miss it. And now tune in to competitors of this vehicle.